My goal is to have my own TV show. Until you have your own TV show, you haven't made it.
I would love to know how you decided to marry comedy with magic.
Please welcome the Canadian Wes Barker.
That's the one thing about being Canadian that I love. I think it's a cheat code. When you go to the States, tell them that you're the biggest deal in Canada. They have no way to verify it, even with the internet these days.
Right.
What are you going to look up?
Yeah, right.
Fast forward to when I'm 35, I got my own TV show, and then it got canceled after 1 year. I didn't write down any more goals. Oh, no.
Right.
Life is so much longer than I thought.
If you don't quit, you might make it. And if you quit, you definitely won't.
People can't do something themselves. They want to tell you you can't do it.
I'm never going to be my hero. That's just fine with me because that keeps me with somebody to keep on chasing.
Everybody's trying not to go home.
Don't ever let somebody tell you you can't do something.
When you've got something which you know is individual to yourself, just encourage that, nurture it.
You got a dream, you got to protect it. You want something, go get it.
Well, welcome to the 4th episode of You'll Never Make It here at REC Studios. And today our guest is comedy magician, Wes Barker.
That's right. And
We just had a blast with him, I think.
yeah, he's a really cool dude. It's going to be very enlightening. I learned a lot myself, which I don't normally learn anything. And,
That's right.
And it was cool. I mean, again, I don't know that world that well.
Yeah. So I'll tell you what he's done. He's been on America's Got Talent. He's been on The Ellen Show. He's had his own show, magic show on True TV. He's a touring magician, comedian right now across Canada and the U.S. He fooled Penn and Teller on Fool Us, which is huge if you love magic. There's 1,000 things. He has a book called Abracadumbass.
There you go.
Which I think you can get on Amazon, Audible, or wesbarker.shop. And he's a massive content creator.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's kind of basically years ago helped his career take off, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Like that is millions and millions and like millions of views before content creator was a profession.
Yeah.
He was early.
That's the coolest thing to me is finding out that he sort of did the viral video without really even knowing that he made some major video. And now he's using that as a platform. It was cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. I met him at a comedy club. I went to see a show where he played in Hamilton at the comedy club I perform at often, and hung out after, and just the conversation was great. He was very open about a lot of different things about making videos, about social media, about magic, which is something you hate about me because I love magic. Like I grew up loving magic, doing magic, and you don't like whatever. I don't know.
I like magic though. I really do enjoy magic. It's the way, it's your attitude and the way you deliver magic. Yeah. And from what I've learned about Wes is he doesn't have that.
No.
So you can do magic without that.
Without being
which is
jerk,
really what
I
I wanted to know.
Yeah. So I'm so excited to have him here, and we'll get to him in a second. But first, as we always do, we want to update each other on our goals as we're still trying to make it.
How are you doing? Give us an update on your goals.
It's a very interesting time right now. I'm preparing to go to a conference called Real Screen, which I went to last year. It's where you can buy and sell unscripted or reality shows where producers can meet networks and broadcasters, streamers, and pitch them. And they may or may not get it by them, development deals. So last year I got a deal with the Food Network after I was in a pitch competition, and I won. And it's been a long ride, as you've heard through these podcasts. The end of that story, I'll tell you right now, is they eventually passed on it. We did a lot of work for them. This food show idea I co-created, and it's just they decided it wasn't for their audience,
right? Even
though they really liked it. So we have it back now. It's a fine time. I'm working with another production partner, and we're going back to Real Screen to pitch it to different networks. We're going to be setting up meetings with a lot of different major networks as well, whether they're there or not. Anyways, it's exciting for that. I have a new show idea that I've created another food show where basically food influencers, basically half of what I do for a living now, which is make videos about food and restaurants and food reviews. And sometimes those videos go viral, and sometimes from those viral videos, the restaurants are packed.
Right.
And it's an amazing time.
One of them just down the street here.
I came from following up with them as I'm filming a YouTube video behind the scenes of what's going on, plus a sizzle reel for this new show.
Which is, to me, is crazy. The fact that you have enough of a following that you can make a video on something that you like in a restaurant scenario, and then that can take off. That to me, that's making it to me.
Yeah.
You have that influence, you know?
It is amazing.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time it happened years ago. It was like eye-opening for me.
Right.
To like the power that this has and the possibilities. So that's it. And I feel like I'm missing. I got a couple comedy shows coming up that I am not prepared for. I haven't done comedy in a couple of months because I've just been so busy making content, making videos. I just had time for it. And it's stressing me out a bit because it takes a lot to come up to make a show good and remember the bits and make new bits funny.
Yeah.
Because you have to go up on stage and try them and see if they work or fail. And that's annoying and nerve-wracking. So I'll be at Yuck Yucks in a couple of days to try some new stuff.
Workshopping the material.
And I don't know.
Well, I think that the trick that you have is that just because you have your hand in so many different pies, you're doing the same thing that we wanted to avoid when you were having a full-time job, which was that you couldn't focus on the things you needed to focus on.
Maybe it's just me, a me problem.
I think that what it is that because you have so many skills that you could be in so many places, right? Like it's the same problem that everybody has, is that they don't know which one is going to take off, so they want to keep their hands everything.
Yeah.
So you're sitting in a position where now you're still spread too thin, even though you've taken all the precautions to not be spread too thin.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
But this is good though, because that means that you're exploring and you're trying to get closer to the goal. But obviously, the influencer thing, obviously that has got some weight to it. If that has an audience, that's already there.
Yeah.
So now you just have to build through that, I think, and I think the other parts will come.
Yeah.
Because the comedy's there. You just have to think about it.
It just takes a long time to write and develop and try. And I usually, you're the first guy that hears them.
That's right.
On the phone. And
So you got a lot of work to do.
So if you when it's silent, I'm like, fuck.
Well, sometimes it's a bad connection. Most of the time,
I feel bad. It makes me feel. I'm just gonna go with that. Most of my stuff is just because it's a bad connection. It's as I'm still working towards my goal of having a TV show, which sounds like it was very interesting to hear what Wes said about that.
Yeah,
because he's like, I didn't have any goals past that.
Yeah,
now what?
Right.
So I do think about that.
I think he, perhaps the goal in his mind probably just wasn't amended in that, hey, I want a TV show that stays.
Yeah. it's supposed to go for a while.
Yeah, I think
but
it's
no
the same
TV
thing.
show goes for a while.
Of course not. But even the best TV show, Seinfeld, had an ending.
8 seasons.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it.
And they were going to be paid a hell of a lot to do the 9th one.
Yeah, I mean, they just said that.
And they didn't. They left on top, right?
Yeah.
So every show has an ending.
I feel like that'll open the door to new goals and dreams to emerge. After I get this, if I get this big one. Well, at the same time, all the other things I am doing are part of bigger goals.
Yeah. But it'll be the milestones again. You'll hit the thing, and then it won't be enough, and you want to go to the next one. Right?
Yeah.
But like even in the music side, like bands typically don't stay together forever.
Mm-hmm.
They either die or hate each other.
Yeah.
Or they just don't like music anymore. Right.
Right.
Or you're the Rolling Stones and you're still a band somehow.
Or you too.
You too, yeah, they're still there.
Still there.
Yeah, but they haven't had any like
hits in a while.
Nobody's lost. They're all still there.
Yeah, yeah.
Stones have lost many.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Right?
I'm not a fan, so I don't.
Stones don't have. The Stones are there's just 3 of them left, and the one guy wasn't even the original one. Ronnie Wood wasn't in it from the top, right? But yeah, so that's good though. You got the goals. That's great.
That's good. It's working towards it. At the same time, like your stuff, you just came off another tour opening for Sheepdogs in the UK.
That's right. No, the UK and Europe.
Oh my God.
It wasn't just the UK. Believe me, So I'll tell you this.
Is that closer? Is that helping you get closer to your goal of having a worldwide like music hit?
It is, because it allows you the longevity to have an audience to have that hit. Right. The thing that I guess a lot of people don't realize about the music industry is that it's not just enough to have a great song anymore. You have to have a great song, which obviously is number one, but a great song, and then you have to have a vehicle to get that song to the audience that needs to be a fan of it and like it. And it ideally will if it's a good song. So even if you have the best song, if no one's ever heard it, it doesn't really help you. Even because I think that we have had, not even just my band, but all the bands and artists I've worked with, I think we've made many hits over the years. None of them have been viral giant hits or national, international selling hits because the audience isn't there for it, right? So I think that when you do a tour like we just did, it allows you to open up markets in all those places for an audience that will be able to hear and judge your song whether they like it or not. So that tour was really good. We did all of Europe, like really like every major city we kind of hit. And, from Spain all the way through Germany up to the top of Norway, down again, and then through the UK and Paris and Netherlands and all,
my God.
And it was crazy. It's like, I think it was 10 countries or something like,
How long were you away?
Insane. It was 34 days of being out there.
Traveling.
And they weren't all with the Sheepdogs. We had a few of our own shows here and there. There was a festival, Planet Rockstock, which was in Wales, which is technically, it's the UK, right? But the UK was 3 countries, right? It's England and Scotland and Wales, right? That's all over in the UK, right? So
yeah. So let me ask you this: on that tour, was there a time during it you were like, I don't know if we're gonna make it?
Yeah, well, of course. And so, not just internally, where obviously when you're living with people for 34 days, 24 hours a day, it can get to you, right? Obviously, that's a moment where you're like, oh boy, I'm going to kill everybody. But the reality is that there's a routing, issue when it comes to a tour of that size. And by size, I mean kilometers traveled and the distances between cities. We were doing our tour in a Sprinter van, which is sort of typical for most bands of especially of our size, right? But most bands over in Europe will travel in a Sprinter, which has got 8 seats, and if there's 6 of you, you've got a bit of room to spread out. But because of the size of the tour and how big we sort of had to appear, we're traveling in a Sprinter van, and we're literally living in a warehouse. So we've got all of our boxes of CDs are in the van with us, and because the gear in the back takes up the whole back, and then we're sitting in the boxes of CDs and posters and the merch.
Oh my God!
And then we're trying to chase the Sheepdogs in what they have as a night. They call it a nightliner, which is the only way to do the tour like this. And we're kind of crazy for even attempting to follow it in such a thing. But a nightliner is a bus, a tour bus, with bunks on it. So the band would sleep on this thing. The band and the crew would sleep in their bus. And so every night you would leave the show, you'd pack up all your stuff, and then our band would go to our hotel and sleep for 8 hours or 7 hours or whatever, wake up in the morning and drive to the next city.
Right.
Whereas they would go to sleep at night, and then they would be asleep on the bus while their driver would drive them through the night to their next place. They'd wake up the morning of in the place where they are, have the day there to sort of relax or see it or whatever.
They don't have a hotel room ever.
They don't. Well, they would luxuriously grab a hotel room whenever they sort of felt they needed it. But the idea is that you can drive at night.
Yeah.
So if the cities aren't that far away, it's not, you can take a hotel and everybody can relax and whatever. But because one day we finished in Barcelona, Spain. And then the next show was in Munich, Germany. That's like 2 days of driving. So they went overnight and just did it in a long haul or whatever they had to, right? And we had to do it in 2 days with a stopover and just straight driving for 2 days. Oh, and we finished the second day in sound check. You finish it, drive right to sound check and do the show.
Oh my God.
So it's a long time to be in a car and then arrive to do that. Now, fortunately, we're not sick, which was good. Sometimes you go and you're that close, you get sick. But we were all pretty healthy. Yeah. And it was great. So you do all that work for that glorious hour a night when you're playing. And that's when it's totally worth it, because their fans they loved us, right?
Yeah.
And they were great guys. We got along with them. We had a great experience hanging out with them on the road. But it's a long haul to do that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I learned a lot about how to sort of manage your own mind in a situation like that, because the drives were crazy. But we know what it is. Yep. And I don't think that we're the first band to have done that, and we're not going to be the last.
No, absolutely.
But we're in a group of people now who have who've seen what it's like to tour like that,
and you have more tours coming up this year, right? You're going in a few months.
Yeah, we're going back to Germany. We're opening for a band called De Wolf, which is a Netherlands southern rock band.
Why have I heard? I feel like I've heard of them.
Well, they're big. They do a lot of work in America too, but there's southern rock band doing it right. They're very good. So we're going to have
I would say obviously touring has made you guys even better than you were, because I just saw you guys last week.
Oh,
you were in Hamilton.
Yeah, we played a one and only Canadian date this year.
Which is, again, that's a whole other topic, which gets into, we talk about.
Yeah.
But you guys are so good. It was just on another level from what I'd seen. And you talked to me about why that could be partially. Obviously, when you guys practice, you play 30 shows, whatever, you're going to get better. But you're technically behind the scenes is a lot better. You spent some money on that to make it easier.
That's right.
For you guys.
Just easier to make. Use the technology that exists in this day and age to actually be able to have self-contained monitor rigs and be able to hear yourself the same every night. And
In
it
your
makes a
in-ears.
big difference. Yeah, it makes a big difference. And just, again, what we always say in the music world is that like a show is worth like 10 practices. So if you're a band and you go to a practice and you rehearse, again, you should be practicing at home and then rehearsing with your band. Right? So there shouldn't be learning your own parts when you're in rehearsal. But you do rehearsal, that's really not anywhere close to the same things you'll learn and grasp from doing a show. So, and this is probably true of comedy too. When you're practicing at home, even if you're just on the phone talking about a skit, that's very different than playing to a room.
Yeah.
And when you play to a room, you learn a lot more, even though you're only running every song once, because unless you've had a problem, but you're only running every song once during a show, you still learn way more about that song and the moves and where you want to be, right? And especially when you start adding physicality into your performance, right? Now, comedy would be, pacing or acting out certain things that you're talking about. In music, it's actually playing to the crowd or understanding where you are in the position. Like I'm wireless, so I will wander the stage throughout to be able to interact with different members in each part of the thing.
Yeah.
And you're holding the guitars up and you're doing and waving around and you're running back and forth, you're jumping. That all takes a lot more practice than you'd get standing in a room rehearsing your part. It's more than just playing. It's actually stamina and it's all that stuff. And that's what you learn on the road. And that's why now you've caught us on the end of 34 shows. Like you come back, it's like, okay, now you're good.
You're pros.
Yeah. I think any band would go out and play that many days in a row and come back a well-oiled machine.
Sure.
There should be no way, unless you aren't good, and then you shouldn't be doing it.
Right.
But there should be no world where you go out for that length of time and not
get better.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So like every show is worth, I think, is worth 10 rehearssals at least.
Love that.
So there's like almost 300 rehearsals that you just did there.
Wow.
Right? That's what that really is to me.
That's amazing. Well, you're on your way. You're still doing it. We're both still doing it. Another guy who we'll get to right now, Wes Barker, is touring on stages. And I saw his show the other day, and it was fantastic.
Yep.
Comedy magician, and not in the traditional sense of a magician, right?
That's
It's
right.
totally different.
Not just a prop comic either.
No,
not just someone who's a comedian that's using props to make a joke funnier.
No,
actually interacting and weaving the two together in a way that's actually
through magic.
Quite good.
And, it's amazing. Again, he's Wes Barker all over the internet. You can see him on any platform. He's killing it, and that's really that's really what bankrolled his life for a long time, which we've learned, which you'll hear. So
let's go to it.
Here he is,
Wes Barker. Cool. Thanks for coming.
I'm great. Everything about this except for the name of the podcast I'm loving.
I like the name. A little negative on the name.
Yeah,
but
you'll never make it, Wes Barker.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Okay, my name of the podcast when I said let's do this, I said let's call it "Just Trying Not to Go Home."
No, that's terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow.
Yes.
Interesting. I thought that was going to go the other way.
You see, you'll never make it is a negative, and people are like, "Oh, I gotta watch this."
Yeah,
that's the key.
Just trying not to go home. I don't even know you don't even understand what it might be about. You'll never make it as an idea.
All right, we're gonna cut all this.
No, we're gonna keep this. This is fantastic. Finally, proof that you're wrong.
One guy. That's
just one guy. Just one guy.
But the main guy of today.
No, I actually think it's a great title. Seriously, so you did good.
All right, we did it.
Your mutual collaboration made it perfect.
We made it that way. I told him what I thought it would be, and then he said, "This is what it is." I said, "Okay."
I love it.
No way.
I love it.
Anyways,
great. Well, welcome. Thank you for being here on.
It's great.
You'll never make it.
You'll never.
Beautiful studio. I love it. This is awesome.
Man.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's right downtown.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we really try to talk a little bit about how the journey is not always the happiest and prettiest,
streamlined.
Perfect. Exactly. So like we're really trying to almost give hope to people and kind of be like, look, here's how people have made it, and even though they've failed a little bit or they've had a setback, it still becomes this great thing that you can sort of go and look at and goes, wow, what a great experience.
Yeah, it's an important message to tell people, because it does feel that way sometimes when you're looking out and seeing whoever, 19, 22, whatever, and they're popping off, and you're like, how, what?
Yeah.
Did I miss the boat? Everything I've tried has failed. Like it can feel bad.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a subsect of people that I think you know what was it crazy that some people don't even ever learn that lesson? Like some people that are actually bad and should have taken the note and gone home, they don't.
Yeah, right.
And the ones that are super talented get discouraged and they don't pursue it, even though you're like, dude, you're right around the corner.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then those other idiots that are just like narcissists that are actually bad, you're like, why is this guy not getting the message?
Yeah.
So I run into that a lot, especially in comedy. You see that at open mics and stuff.
Interesting.
And you're like, some people that are like brilliant and they pack it in I swear, just like a week too early, it feels like, right? Because they've been at it for 8 years, 10 years, and they're like, oh, I'm not going to get anywhere. And then other guys that are there, you're like, he's been here 20 years, he's done the same 5 minutes, and you're like, someone tell him to stop coming. Like, it's not, dude.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I feel like I see both sides of it a lot, especially because I try all my magic tricks out at the comedy clubs.
Right.
So I'm hanging around comedians nonstop, and that's where I see that
see.
for sure. You're like,
Yeah.
whoa.
See,
dude.
that's just I have two clients that are the exact opposite of each other in that way. One of them is like the best singer I've ever heard in my life, and she's always like, I don't think I'm any good.
Oh, wow.
And the other one is like, needs some work, and they're like, I can't wait to make it tomorrow. And you're like, what's cooking here? How is the mentality different? So that's neat to see that it's not just in music.
No, it's
like
not
that.
for sure. Sometimes I wish I had the like, and sometimes you have that, like when I was younger, I was like more naive and kind of more arrogant about it because I didn't really understand how the industry worked. And I wish I had that brain back with the skill set I have now.
Right.
Yes.
Man, that kind of like just unwavering belief.
That's it.
You need it. The better you get, the more you need that.
Yeah.
But it goes away.
It does, because if you're a normal, like, nice person, you feel like you're not as good as other people because those other people are loud and obnoxious and like, even if they're not as good, they're louder and they don't care and they can,
That's a good point. Yeah.
right. And that's even as I think I said this to you yesterday about, as a comedian, I was doing a way more early on and I felt better about it. Where now I don't feel as good as I did, and even trying new stuff. Like I know too much now, and I feel like it's not as easy as it was when I didn't know much.
You entered into that second part of the curve where it's like you don't know what you don't know, and then now you're knowing what you don't know, and you know you don't know it.
Yeah.
And now you're like, oh God, what am I doing?
Yes,
right?
that's exactly it. It's.
But you don't want to live there. My first real question, like again, I don't know you that well, but I've done some research. I would love to know how you decided to marry comedy with magic. I mean, comedy's like, I love stand up. The fact that he's doing that and like that's so cool. I never had the balls to do it.
Yeah, it's scary.
And magic, I have no idea about.
But because I loved
He
it.
loves
and
magic.
did it a bit.
But he turned me off of magic a little bit. We'll get into that. I'd love to know how it is that you kind of you decided to marry them. I'd love to know that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of, they were very independent. I was learning card tricks to try and meet women at the bar.
Yes.
Which is not what happened.
No. No.
I would go up to girls and be like, want to see a card trick? They would leave. I'd be surrounded by 15 dudes. They'd be like, you must get so much pussy.
Yeah,
and I was like,
so
just meet a lot of you guys. Honestly, it was pretty bad. But I met a lot of bro friends and didn't pay for many pints. So I guess
There
that
you go.
worked.
That's not a loss.
No, it's not. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's why I was like, I'll learn these card tricks. I'd like to be the life of the party. So I was like, this works out to my personality. Great. On the side, I was like, stand up looks interesting. So I'm like, let me try that. And I went out and I tried it, like just some open mics, whatever. And it was hard, like I thought. And I wasn't like going to be regularly going doing stand up. It was just something I was trying here and there. And then further I got down the line of magic, I realized eventually I wanted to take my magic from close up to on stage. And I was like seeing like, these guys in Vegas and stuff. And I was like, Copperfield, Lance Burton, Siegfried and Roy, Penn and Teller. I'm like, oh, wow, this is crazy. And then I was like, where do you do that? Where do you take magic on stage? And then I was like, I wonder if I go to the comedy club and do it. And I already knew that I was never going to be a serious magician. I tried that a little bit. It was terrible.
What is that?
Like serious is like wear a tux and be like dove fireball.
Oh,
right.
I see.
Or I mean, in the same way, David Blaine is not a comedian in
Right.
any way.
Yes.
Right? But he's like very serious magician, but like not stage magic.
Yeah, but like
Although-
you're trying to, your persona is, I'm gonna be doing something. I have magic powers, and I'm gonna be something impossible, and watch me. And I knew I couldn't really do that. I didn't really like that style. I knew I was gonna be joking around. So I'm like, well, I think if I'm already have a jokey persona and I do it at the comedy club, they'll probably just let me do a magic trick. They probably won't say anything.
I see.
So then I'm like, as long as the trick's funny, I think I can do it at comedy clubs. Sure enough, I was like, they're like, yeah, go for it. Killed. So funny.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
That's the
And it was a cheat code for both things. Now I can get magic on stage and I can be doing comedy and getting time at the comedy clubs. And the ones that don't want it, don't want it. They're like, we only do pure stand-up, get the hell out of here. But most of them are really welcoming to me. They're like, yeah, come on. And I was just like, I felt like I unlocked this thing that people hadn't figured out. And I just got so much stage time trying to figure out how to do magic
What
that
time
way.
in your life was this? Like, how old were you?
I was like 20. I mean, I started figuring this out at like 23, 24, 25, somewhere in there. And then at 25, I ended up quitting my day job to like pursue this.
Oh wow.
Okay.
But like, honestly, fully not having any expectation that it would work.
But that's the moment we want to come back to that. Put a pin
Yeah,
in that.
okay.
We love that moment.
Because
that's
but that's really what happened is like you can make a whole career as a magician without ever setting foot on stage.
Right.
Because you can get hired by corporate events to walk around and do card tricks, close-up magic.
I see.
That's a real career.
Yeah.
Or you get it even like if you get a TV show, like David Blaine could have retired a multi-millionaire without ever doing his stage show. He tours amazing stage show now, right?
right.
Yeah.
But he never had to.
No.
Right. Like doing his insane street magic would have made him worth $200 million already. So
Yeah.
you don't have to go on stage, and that's something the internet. I mean, even now, all the TikTok magicians and stuff, they'll never go on stage. They
Right.
can just learn these cool little tricks and crush it.
Yeah.
But I want to be up there.
Oh, I see.
I like it, so I had to find a way.
So is this what's the difference between this and sort of like prop comedy? Like, is that
Not much.
It's pretty similar.
No, for me, yeah, not much. And I used to sort of kind of bury that and try and like not really own that.
Right.
But like the more I do it, the more I even find myself explaining to certain comedy clubs and stuff. I'm like, it's not magic, it's prop comedy.
I see.
Because people have a bad taste of magic sometimes if they had a bad experience.
Right.
No one ever goes like,
him.
I don't like music. No one ever says that. They go because
I don't
like
like genres.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
magic, they'll go, I don't like magic.
Yeah,
I'm like, you
yeah.
don't even fucking know what you're talking
Yeah,
about,
yeah,
man.
right,
Like
right.
I also don't like magic if you show me the right guy.
Yeah, yeah,
I got a list for you. Check
Interesting.
my website.
Yeah.
I got a list.
You got to hate
That's
that.
it.
Hate list.
So is this like like in music we call it crossover?
Right.
So if you're like, let's say you're a folk artist that happens to have a rockabilly side or something like that, you can market your music to folk and rock.
Yeah.
So is that sort of similar with this, where you've got magic, you've got comedy, so you literally can cross over to both
Yeah.
at any point.
I am-
So that's versatile.
My audiences, I'm constantly whenever I'm selling tickets, I'm stealing from both
no way.
audiences.
That's wicked.
So there's like that Venn diagram. There's a whole section of magicians that don't love what I do.
Oh, is that right?
Right. And then there's a much bigger section, if I'm being honest, nowadays. There's a much bigger section that think I'm brilliant.
Yeah,
right.
right,
And
right.
as weird as it is to say, but they're like, they love it. And I'm very happy to finally have got to there.
Right.
But then over here, same with comedy. Some people just like, I just like my comedy.
Right.
And some of them are like, this is so fun. I didn't know I could like this.
Yeah, right.
So I do get a really big crossover there. And even the comedy clubs and comedians that know me the best, whenever I'm on their shows or whatever, they'll like, before they introduce me, they'll be like, hey, are you doing stand-up or doing your magic tonight?
Right.
Like, because they're not sure. Sometimes I'll just go up and just tell a 5-minute story.
Right.
So they're always like checking in with me, and I'm like, oh, I'll just do whatever, And
No way.
okay, great. So yeah, it's a big crossover, and it's nothing makes me happier. People are, if they hear me do like a really good stand-up bit, they'll be like, oh, are you gonna just move into stand-up? I'm like, no, they're never gonna be separated.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This is me. This is like how I like to do it.
That's super
Gags, prop comedy, magic, fake magic,
Right.
Yes.
tell a funny story. Like I love just the blend.
See, in watching is I watched him a little bit
Yeah.
before we came in here just to familiarize a bit, and like to me it was like that is exactly how I would like to digest magic.
That's yeah.
So
You're
I'll just
that.
say like with Joe again, it wasn't bad, but
Yeah.
he has this. Has he ever done magic for you?
No,
You should do some magic.
we did a
once,
couple
but,
do
like,
one
it was
tricks,
just-
but yeah.
I was so rusty, and it was yeah.
He'll do the thing, right? And then like you'll do the trick, and then you'll be like, oh, it was cool. He's like, yeah, it was pretty. he'll just have this air about it. Just like, yeah, it's magic. Yeah, it's magic. That's how it's done. It's just I know it's magic. And you're like, okay, I'm sure there's a trick somewhere. Yeah, it's
he's
just
like,
after
I'm
you
actually
know.
just better than you.
Yeah,
I'm better than
And
you.
so,
and-
it's very irritating because I'm someone who needs to know how something works.
What?
I can't like even the
Imagine
first
being
thing,
me, I had to pretend like it was good. It was even worse for me because he's like, huh? And I'm like,
What was the first thing I said?
Oh yes, that's right. I know. I knew it was
good.
It was
It
fine.
was good.
It was fine. It was right. It was like not great
No, it was
technically,
great.
but it was fine.
It was
yeah.
totally great.
Thank you.
Right
It was
after you
fine.
did your trick outside, what was the first thing I said to you? I didn't even mean to say it. I was like, "Oh, how'd you do that?" I didn't even mean to say that.
It's just
but that's
natural.
I'm naturally. I need to know everything. I need to know how that whole console works. I need to know how these mics work. I need to know it all.
Well, that's why I had you guys make sure there was no women around because if I started doing magic, that they were running at me, right? So I was like, make sure the coast is clear, boys.
Don't worry, they were known there.
Yeah, they were not around.
But I did see a crowd of guys. Like,
So this guy must bang.
So what I will say on that is that when I first met you and we started talking, what struck me was that
We have
you
English
were,
minors. Too,
yeah,
by the
yeah,
way.
we do. Unfortunately, is that you were kind of really open and honest about the just magic in itself. I remember somebody asked you like how you did something, you just like told them.
Yeah.
And even your stage show is that. Even your TV show was
Yeah.
kind of that. And again, the show we worked on was Think About It, and a version of what I'm still trying to pitch.
But I love that though.
Yeah.
That's the funny part is that I love this concept.
We revealed half of it.
But it was less attitude.
Right. I wasn't the guy in the show either. I was just making it directing it. But anyways, that's what I really love about your stuff. You were honest about kind of like, yeah, it's a trick. And then sometimes you'd reveal it. Even the career path, we were talking a lot about social media and all that, and like just the honesty and like just it was very eye-opening and insightful to hear, to talk to you.
Well, the real reason I stumbled across that idea originally, I guess, sort of Penn and Teller specifically was like, always said the audience kind of deserves the best version of whatever the thing is, right? And if the best version is the explanation, if that's the most entertaining,
Right.
then they kind of deserve that.
Interesting.
And they always will, if they're going to explain something, take it one step further to still kick you in the ass at the end,
right.
Yes, of course.
Sometimes for me, I mean, I mostly just find wherever the funniest beat is, that's what I'm getting off. Right. I'm not in the business of trying to make the best magic show. I'm trying to do the best Wes Barker impression.
Right.
And that's sort of where our paths diverge a little bit.
I see.
But with the Penn and Teller thing, when they sort of, that was like became their style, and they were hated on for a while for it and everything, and now they're just so revered as magicians, and they're everyone's favorite. But I think there's definitely room for that, because people are like, wait, like on my stage show, I'll probably like expose 2 tricks or teach 2 tricks from stage, simple ones or whatever. It doesn't matter. You can still fool that person with the knowledge you just gave them.
Exactly.
Like when you go on Penn and Teller Fool Us and you're on their show, just because you fool them, that doesn't mean they don't know like they know how every trick works. So think about that. They know how every trick works, yet people still fool them all the time.
Right.
So they're being fooled by a thing they know.
Right.
And they couldn't guess it. They know everything and they still couldn't guess it. So I'm trying to be like, you think me teaching this guy to hold 2 cards as one doesn't mean I can't show him how to do this. Here, hold 2 cards as one. It's called a double lift. Look it up, blah, blah, blah. And give it to him. And then 10 seconds later, be like, watch this trick. And he'd be like, how? And you're like, I just showed you, you idiot.
Right.
Because it's disguised.
Exactly. So like, I'm like, I don't think you can give them as much as you want. And as long as you have the chops or the performance style to play on that, you can hit them again.
Exactly.
So I kind of don't really worry about it too much, but I love it because as an audience, you really feel like you're learning. You feel like you're behind the curtain, and then it makes the next thing more powerful.
Yes.
And for me, it disarms my audience. They don't really know what's going to happen, right? They're like, is this part of it? Should we know what's going to, I don't know. I like
Wow.
that. So I'm rambling, but that's how I feel passionate about
that's
it.
cool.
No,
man.
that's the best.
That's exactly what we're looking for. I mean, like to me, like I still go back to the how here.
Yeah.
I totally get where you're at now and how you've gotten sort of, through the establishing the crossover and all that stuff. But like initially, okay, and this is where my issue comes from. And he has no shame, so this is not a problem for him. I think I would be stopped the first couple of times it didn't work. Like magic's always been tricky. Like not that I've been any good at it, but anytime I've tried to do it and it's not worked, that's made me go, this is tricky. So how do you get past that hump? And also, with the comedy, because it's the same problem. Comedy doesn't work.
Yeah.
You get pulled back.
Most of the time, especially now, it's still like half the time it doesn't work when you're trying new stuff. Like,
So when you started out, like how did you put this, like how did you do it?
I think it's like it's kind of, if you're lucky enough to have something work once early enough, like I'm talking like early, first time up, something has to work. Right. Or first magic trick out, like something has to work.
Right.
You remember that, and then you there's so much confidence knowing, that can be the outcome.
I see.
That it makes me like, okay, I can push through and I can find that again. I've had it once. If you failed, you didn't get a laugh, or the trick didn't work first, second, third time, I'd be amazed if you did it again.
Is that right?
Right? Because then you're just like, well, this is impossible.
Right.
But it's if you get one decent response, you're like, and then you really latch onto it. It's like why people golf.
Right.
right? You can be bad at golfing, but as long as in your first round you have a good shot, you go, and you're playing again next week, right? For sure. It's exactly like that, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's great. We've done that where we've only hit the one
Yeah,
shot.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Absolutely. Right? Like, I mean, imagine like, I don't know, you'd never go on another date.
Right.
You know, like it wasn't, you're not shooting 100% asking girls out when you're younger, I'm sure, right? You know what I mean? Like
You must have been watching.
Yeah.
But I will say though, that is, I mean, I guess that's what keeps people going back to anything that's risky in this industry or anything in the entertainment industry as a whole. Right?
Yeah.
We're all really in that industry, right? Even though we're in the music side, it's the same thing. If you put a song out, no one likes it.
Yeah.
Well, that sucks, but you better try to do another one or else you're going to give up, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's what it is that you kept sort of pushing through that.
That's also why people always, it's cliche beyond cliche to like make it for yourself, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But like clearly, like it's cliche for a reason. Like you have to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because no one's gonna. Most people won't like the thing that you like the most. Your favorite song, for me, my favorite trick, your favorite joke. They won't like it. The favorite video you ever made.
Right.
Your favorite video.
Yeah.
No one even watched it, and you forced them to watch it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's good." You're like, "No, come on, man."
So
right.
true.
And they gravitate to the ones that you were kind of like, I didn't
Yeah,
think
you're
you'd like
okay.
that.
My first ever viral video I got in 2014. The video hit like 30 million back in 2014.
Wow, no way.
Before the algorithms were this good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh yeah,
crazy.
like a million was like a rarity back then.
Wow.
And
30, really?
What app was that on?
It was that
What
YouTube?
app? It was YouTube.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
great.
It was a video. It was a trick that I only ever did the one time. I didn't like it. I hummed and hawed for 4 or 5 months about whether I was going to post it because I was like, it's so sloppy, it's slow. We didn't have time to rehearse it. I'm like, and I finally just hit upload, and it just went doom, 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 doom. And I was like, oh damn.
Wow.
And people are like loving it, and I'm like, it's so bad I almost didn't post it, and it jump started my whole career.
No way.
No way. When,
That's crazy.
wow.
Let's talk about that. That's a cool moment.
Yeah. So I'm 28 at the time.
Okay.
I've been full-time, quit my job for 3 years at this point.
Really?
Wow.
Okay.
And I'm like, what am I gonna like? When I quit my job, I had like 6 months sort of buffer in the bank, right? And I mean, I was living pretty lean as a basement suite guy, whatever, right? So I was just like, didn't have many expenses, and I was like, I had to figure this out, and I didn't really expect it to work. And then I kind of started figuring out, like, I was doing $70 gigs at old age homes, and I was just like cold calling like high schools and colleges like every day, just cold call, and just making these gigs. And I was like, I need to get on TV. And then I'm like, I don't know how from Canada to get on TV. And then I'm like, I think the internet will help. Right?
I've heard of this thing.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna post some YouTube videos. And then I put all my money into this giant theater show in Vancouver at the Vogue Theater. It's like 1,200 seats.
In Vancouver.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where I'm from.
Oh, okay.
And I had no business selling out 1,200 seats. But at the time in 2013, 2014, you can't go see a magic show.
Right.
And it just doesn't exist.
Right.
Unless you're in Las Vegas or LA or New York, you cannot see magic.
Wow.
And the internet didn't even have magic on it.
Right.
You couldn't even look up magic. Like you could see really grainy card tricks.
Right. Yep.
I was like, if I film this in front of an audience with some cool tricks, I bet you they'll go viral.
Right.
So I put to rent the Vogue back then, $6,500. Film crew, $4,000.
No way.
So I put in all my money, borrowed some from my buddy, right? And I'm like, here, you gotta help me.
No
and
way.
he was like, I don't want to give you this. I'm like, thank you so much. So we put in like,
I don't want to get
put in like 10, 12, 14. I can't remember. At the end of the day, it was like 14 grand or something by the time it was all said and done. And then I just called everyone on my phone and Facebooked every friend I had that lived in Vancouver. Facebook had a max every day. I would max out every day.
Oh.
And I was just selling $20 tickets. I sold 1,100 $20 tickets that way.
Wow.
Wow.
It was hardcore.
Wow.
And so we ended up filling it up, shoot this thing. The show doesn't go perfectly, but it goes good enough. I clip out 3 bits that I thought might go viral. Hummed and hawed forever because they weren't what I wanted them to be. Finally just nutted up and posted one of them. It took off. Yeah. So I posted the other 2 behind it, and they all 3 went over 1 million back then.
No way.
And then I got 4 TV shows American TV shows in the next 10 months. America's Got Talent, Penn Teller, Fool Us, Wizard Wars, and some MTV show.
Wow.
I was like, and I'm like, whoa. And then I'm like, yes. And my YouTube's flying at that point, right? But back then we didn't even care about subscribers.
Right.
Didn't even matter. Just get some views.
Yeah.
Some money was rolling in. I'm like, great. Stop posting. I'm like, I've won YouTube. I'm on TV now. Bye-bye, bitches. And I went and did these like 4 American shows. I fooled Penn and Teller. That was the goal. America's Got Talent told me because I don't have the right visa, I'm only going to do 2 rounds and they're going to vote me off.
Oh, really?
Breaking an NDA, but it's been 11 years. No,
Hey, if there's anywhere to break an NDA, it's this.
Yeah, for
show.
sure. I guess actually it's only been 9 years, but still feels like long enough.
Don't worry, I won't see it.
Yeah, and then I don't care. I really don't care. I have in my book I have a whole chapter called "Fuck AGT."
Really?
And it literally outlines
my
all of
God.
this.
No way.
Yeah. So then I did all these shows, and I was like, I'm going to be a star.
Right.
And it just stopped completely, and I'm just this guy back in Canada being like, how am I gonna? What do I do now? What?
What
do I
why?
do? I'm like 29, 30, and I'm like, and then I'm like, now I'm cold calling schools again, $70 gigs at the old age home. I'm just like, nothing happened.
Why did it stop?
I don't know. I because I think maybe at that point, in hindsight, I'm like, was I supposed to move to LA when I had a little bit of heat?
Interesting.
Was I supposed to? I mean, obvious thing nowadays is when you're getting millions of views on your YouTube channel, it's like you would just feed it.
Right.
Hey, what's up? Like and subscribe. I never once said that in the first 7 years of me having a YouTube channel.
Right.
Hey guys, this is who I am. Here's more. It's
Right.
coming out to you every Wednesday. I never did any of that. Just randomly throw stuff up there like a Hail Mary. But that original viral video was still paying me $1,500 a month.
Right.
For like 2 years it paid me.
Wow.
And I was like, and I'm the only one on there doing magic.
Right.
And not even doing magic, had 3 magic videos. So I was like, this is fine. I really didn't see the value in it because I was just silly back then. And I didn't have anyone else telling me otherwise. So I was just back. And thank goodness I linked up with the Canadian college circuit a little bit. I sort of talked my way into an audition or showcase for them. So I started doing like these college shows, and those were kind of like supporting me. And then the weight of Penn and Teller and the America's Got Talent clips in your promo, that was getting me a decent amount of corporate gigs at Christmas.
I see.
So I was kind of just skating by. But like having a career like that in Canada sort of seemed like the only all it was going to be. But I'm like, that's not what I want. I want to get famous.
Right. Right.
And that just seemed like I didn't know how to do it. So I was spinning wheels for a long time. There's a Canadian TV show called Tricked. And they needed a host. It was going to be a magician. So I'm like, oh, nice. I auditioned for it. It gets down to the final 2 people, me and this guy named Eric. And they end up going with Eric. And that was like, how often do you get auditioned for the host of a show and then a magic show? I'm like, come on. So like it goes to Eric. Then they're like, hey, Wes, do you want to stay on as like the consultant and design the tricks? And I was like, I guess I need a paycheck. So Eric's one of my best friends now. And
There you go.
and it should have gone to him because it was a kids forward magic show, which is not what I do. And he's expert at it.
Right.
So it actually, they made the right call. For the first time in television history, the producers made the right call. So it was good. And we became best buddies and it got me a paycheck. But again, I'm just sitting there. Now I'm on the wrong side of the camera, just watching this, kind of making my buddy some garbage tricks just to watch him have to do it on TV, right? Like, take that, Eric. Give it a go. Right? Like it's just doing and like sabotaging him left, right, and center all the
my
time. It was so
God.
fun.
That's crazy.
Showing him how it works and like moving the elastic band over a little bit so it won't work so well. So he's out there trying to get it to go. Yeah, it was super fun. We had a great time.
That's crazy. Go back for a
Sorry.
second to the this is perfect. Go back to where you quit YouTube, or you quit the idea of YouTube because you're on Canadian or American television.
Yeah.
So in that moment, and we asked this to everybody, did you think you made it at that point? Or had you made it at that point?
I thought no, because I had a higher goal for myself.
Okay.
Right. My goal is to have my own TV show.
Right.
And until you have your own TV show, you haven't made it.
Right.
But then fast forward to when I'm 35, I got my own TV show and then it got canceled after 1 year. And then I was like, went and got depressed for 6 months because I was like, I didn't write down any more goals. That was all the goals.
Right.
Oh no.
Right.
Life is so much longer than I thought. So I was like not in a good way for the first time in my life.
Right.
I was like, uh-oh.
Right.
And then I
You
just
did the thing.
Yeah. I was like, that was it. Now what?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when you left the YouTube the first time though, that your goal was to be the TV, so you got rid of it. But
I thought the agents would come more. I thought the guest spots on shows wouldn't end.
I see.
And I thought someone would drive up to Vancouver and then knock on my door and be like, we've seen all of the things. You're it.
Right.
Get in the trunk. We're going to LA.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, let's
That is
go.
how they'd get you in the trunk. It wouldn't be a limo with a front seat.
No, because they got to smuggle me across the border. I don't have the visa yet.
Yeah,
But do you think
that's it.
if YouTube was what it was now, which because like now it's sort of like, hey, if you had that success, you would ride that out because that's almost better than TV. Right?
It would be better than TV for sure.
So you would have made a different call if the climate was different.
100%.
But that's
And
not your fault.
back then, I was a bit. I think we all were. If you're my age, you were like, I'm not gonna learn how to use cameras.
Right.
I'm not learn how to video edit, like Photoshop. Those are other people's jobs.
Right.
Now we learned, no, that's also your job.
Yeah.
Right.
Congratulations, you have 11 jobs.
That's right. Guess
Back
who's editing
then-
this podcast?
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly.
Back then, I thought like, oh no, I'm the guy here.
Yeah.
And then there's other people for there.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And then, so if I had my skill set that I have now, because I can do all this stuff now,
Right.
and better than most of the people I've hired,
Yeah, of
to an annoying degree. So, so I'm like, I would have been able to, but back then, even if I thought I need to go all in on this, I was trying to film semi-regular content. After a few years, I realized, I've made a mistake. I need to get back on this YouTube love.
Right.
But I was constantly having to get my friend to come out and work for free. And if this video pops, I'll pay you some, whatever. And borrowing buddies with cameras. And then he films it and it looks great and we have a good time. And then like 2 weeks goes by. I'm like, hey man, you gonna edit that or what? Right. And I can't do anything about it. And I was like, no, I should have just learned it back then. And then I could have had more autonomy.
Right.
That's one of the greatest things. I'm sure you guys have talked about this before. The internet, when we talk about gatekeepers, it did remove the gatekeepers, but now it's flooded with people that realize the harder you work, the more you can achieve.
Yeah.
So now, I got like my buddy Julius Dean was making 4 billion views a month on Facebook.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I go down to Mexico when they were filming down there he was down there for a couple of years. And he had a team of 35 people. And he's like, yeah, we work 28 out of 30 days.
Mm.
You take 2 days off.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, so if you just become a workaholic, I'm like, and I'm thinking like my lifestyle, I'm like, that doesn't fit.
Right.
Okay.
So then I'm like, maybe being famous is like third on my list of priorities. And I'm like, and I don't think it's going to go to number 1 because I think that's unhealthy. But I'm like, the landscape's just changed so much. So back then I just didn't. We have a 30,000 foot view on it now, and back then I didn't. Right. And I was just in it, and I really thought, I don't know why, but I really thought like, yeah, someone will come scoop me up.
Interesting.
They'll see this raw talent. And the other thing is, I think I was also just doing it a little bit different than other magicians. All the world knew was Chris Angel Mind Freak, David Blaine. Before that, they knew like Copperfield. They know Penn and Teller. They didn't know what I'm doing.
Right.
So I'm like, they'll see me as a genius, and they saw me as a that's interesting. Kind of like uncertain. And now Comedy Magic has a big resurgence. There's a bunch of great comedy magicians. I mean, leading the charge for us right now is Justin Willman, Magic for Humans on Netflix, Magic Prank Show. He's the guy, which is great. But like even that, most people don't know who he is.
Yeah.
And it's just like you need these people to be examples because you know how TV works. No one wants something new. They pretend they do, but they want to see just give us a different version of the same thing we know.
Exactly.
And I wasn't that.
Interesting.
And again, I didn't know that at the time. I'm like, how do they not know I'm doing it?
But that's hard to sell. You even know it's hard to sell. It's hard.
trying.
There's so many stages of it that are like they can weed you out at any minute.
Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
I'm interested in how it kind of came to be for you for your show on True TV. Like, how did that happen?
One day, a guy drove up to Vancouver and he's like, "You're it."
Did they put you in the trunk though?
Yeah.
Of course.
No, I teamed up with I moved to Toronto. I teamed up with some other magicians. Just they're all buddies of mine. There's 4 of us, and because YouTube is massively popular already, we saw other groups of people hanging out. You know, we knew Mr. Beast guys were hanging out, the Nelk boys were hanging out, David Dobrik had a team hanging out. Like we saw all these groups. Like, let's just be a group of magicians that do cool stuff and mess with each other. We were gonna start a channel called No Joke. And my one buddy Chris already had some YouTube money coming in from his puzzle videos. So he's like, I'll fund it a little bit. I don't mind throwing something at this with you guys. So we start filming these ideas, whatever. At the same time, there's another guy in New York named Ian Frisch writing a book called Magic is Dead. And he's covering this underground world of all these magicians. And magicians is a small world. So you ask a couple questions from a guy in England and you quickly lead to, everyone knows everybody. So he started writing this book and he's hitting up all these people and then someone, I guess his aunt works for something. You know, it's a crazy line of I know this person knows this person knows this person. A TV producer's like, hey, I'm also a fan of Magic. Can you introduce me to these guys? Maybe they want to make a TV show. That just so happened that we were just about to launch this YouTube channel.
Wow.
So it just sort of came to us randomly. We're like, yeah, we'll film like a sizzle reel or something. So we go to Montreal, we film this sizzle reel. This all put together in like a week. And they're like, okay, you got to go to New York and LA. I have 8 meetings set up. Go pitch this thing. So me and Chris go New York, LA, literally 8 meetings everywhere. Like we're on the Warner Brothers lot. We're at MTV. We're, you know, everywhere. And you just pitching this show. And like, I mean, as soon as I knew we were getting to pitch it, I'm like, this is a dream come true already. It's just so fun. Yep. But I'm like, I know I can sell a TV show in the room, right? Like, I'm like, I can be as weird as you want. I mean, I hear the legends of like Tom Green just like covering himself in you know, shaving cream and rolling around on the table screaming, just give me a TV show, just give me a TV show. So I had that very much that vibe in mind. And me and Chris just went off on these, we had this like beautiful banter, just roasting each other. Maybe we do a couple tricks. Sometimes we wouldn't even do tricks. I was wearing tights under my pants with his face on them and stuff, and just like weirdest stuff. And so yeah, eventually they're like, yeah, like we were waiting for a show like this, and then they bought it like a month before COVID started.
No way.
Okay.
And then I'm like, this is all gonna fall apart for sure.
Right. Is that why it did, or because of the pandemic, or?
I thought it was gonna. No. Like this is before. Like we haven't even shot anything yet. We just sold the show.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they just signed the paperwork, and then the world collapses, and we're like, this is probably not gonna go anywhere.
Right.
Then like 9 months into the pandemic, they're like, if we go to Vancouver, we can probably shoot a pilot or pilot.
Right. Right.
And then we did the pilot, and the pilot was solid. And then they're like, okay, and the COVID was lightening up. They're like, yeah, we can probably finish 10 episodes.
Oh wow.
So we did,
Right.
and then. You know, after that, a whole bunch of politics about who got fired up at the top and whose shows they keep, whatever.
Right.
It all fell apart. But yeah, again, rambling, probably missed your original question. But yeah, man, that's like, it was just, getting the TV show was a fluke. If I knew how to repeat that, I would repeat it. It's
Right.
been 3 years since my show got canceled.
Right.
And I haven't been able, I pitched a couple other ones right after. You kind of have a little bit of staying power.
Yeah.
And like, do you have any other ideas? So I had a couple other heist show ideas, like, you know, a couple other things I pitched, and I couldn't really get anything to go because it's hard to get a show to go, right? Get a couple meetings, pitch, nothing. So then I was like, damn. And now I'm like, I don't know how to, now again, I feel like I'm back at the beginning where I'm like, I feel like I'm just shouting into the void like everybody else.
Yeah.
You're not giving up though. That's the
Not
key.
at all.
And that's the key.
Well, and I've doubled down on Facebook videos. Facebook's paying like crazy for good videos, so I'm starting to make more content. I diversified my content from Magic to being with riddles, and I shoot comedy couples sketches with my wife, and it's just I'm my tickets are moving better than ever at theaters now, so it's all like working out.
Right.
But again, 38, trying to think of how long life is, right? And you're like,
longer than
so I
that.
have to do this for 35 more years? Like how much, like, so you start being like, what is the,
Right.
but the one thing I love about being Canadian, and I spend a lot of time in Austin, Texas now, big comedy scene. And I go there, and again, I'm the funniest magician in Austin. It's very easy because there's nobody else there.
Usually musicians in Austin.
Yeah.
Isn't that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just comedians and musicians, and
Yeah.
I'm the funniest magician. So it's great.
There you go.
But when you're Canadian, this is one thing I love. There's no industry in Canada. We all agree. It's the cities are too far apart to tour in any meaningful way. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
No one's coming to throw you in the trunk and take you to LA, right? So, but it's so easy to become the top of our field in Canada.
Right.
And when you're the top in your country, it kind of becomes the Olympics in the way where, like, if you're like the Jamaican bobsled team, you seem like one of the best bobsledders in the world because you're the best in Jamaica.
I see.
You're not,
Yeah.
but you seem like you are. That's what I've done. And that's what I think every Canadian artist should do. You get to the top of Canada and you seem like one of the greatest.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you can jump over people in the American market.
Right.
And that's what I've done, literally become one of the top guys in Canada. I go to the US and they're like, oh, he's huge in Canada. Like it literally feels like that to them. And you just leapfrog past guys. If I'm trying to get this career going from the States, I have a harder time.
Right.
Because I'm swimming through so much more competition.
Right.
So that's the one thing about being Canadian that I love. I think it's a cheat code.
So you pushed harder in Canada because of that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then when you go, don't be afraid to lie about yourself. Spread your own rumors. When you go to the States, tell them that you're the biggest deal in Canada. They have no way to verify it. Even with the internet these days, what are you going to look up?
Yeah, right.
Like, they're going to do what we do. Like, Canadians just end up on American bullshit anyways. You're never going to get, there's no such thing. If you're trying to lie about being a celebrity in England or Australia, you're going to get found out.
Right.
They have a celebrity system.
Right.
We don't.
Right.
And they don't know that.
Right.
So lie about it.
Well, let me ask you this. This is interesting because the way that we've always sort of heard it from our side, which is different than Magic for sure, but it's always been like, okay, well, Canada's market share is not big. It's like, what, 5% of the world or something like that? It's nothing.
Less,
So people are going, why are we marketing to that world
Yeah.
when it would be just as expensive to market to, say, England or something where it's what's way more of the market, the world market.
Right.
So they go, why even bother doing Canada because it won't get you anywhere? But if that's the angle, that is pretty
That's
good.
I'm not trying to sell to Canada. I'm not trying to get a Canadian show.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do anything. Even my metrics on Facebook, YouTube, everything, right? It's all of it's the States.
Sure, of
The
course.
States, then the UK, then Australia, New Zealand, and then probably Canada's fourth.
Right.
Right. So I don't even consider Canada when I'm
Right.
but I definitely on my website, Canada's Funniest Magician. When I talk to people, like I'm just like, this is the guy. He's the best.
Right.
And I really try and get that in there. If I'm not think of all the narcissists in our world, Donald Trump, Elon Musk, whatever. These guys are the one thing that if I'm trying to pull one good thing from their qualities is they're really good at telling people how good they are.
Right.
And it's annoying.
Right.
But it's apparently very effective.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just want to be that.
I see.
Right. So I would just keep telling people, right? Like,
Right.
I am the best.
I think you can back it up though with your stage show. Like, that's, you know, like,
I mean, I hope so, but like that's all you can really hope for. I feel like I'm always just chasing my promo and my show.
Yeah.
I got to make sure I'm offering a better promo than my show.
Right.
And then as soon as I realize that I try and get my show as good as my promo,
I see.
and then I get the promo better, and I'm constantly trying to stack it on
That's
top
great,
of each
though.
other.
It
Yeah,
keeps getting better and better.
absolutely. But yeah, at some point you have to put yourself out there. I mean, I'm living in Vancouver. I was like, this is a big city in Canada. I'm trying, not working. I mean, it's working, but not who I want. Better move to Toronto, biggest city in Canada. Try over there, right? And then, that's working. I got that like kind of working, not good enough. Okay, go to Austin, right? I'm in Austin now, working. Okay, get on some shows, meet some more people, networking, nepotism, all that bullshit, right? So I keep going. If you are going to be living in Winnipeg, complaining about the industry, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, right.
Because you haven't tried yet. There's 2 more steps in Canada to make, right? And then there's a 3rd step, right? So like I feel like you have to, before you can really complain about it, you have to try all the avenues.
Right.
And they're very, if you're living in the States, you're like, do I move to Chicago and join an improv troupe? Do I go to New York and try stand-up? Do I do stand-up in LA? Like, you're actually like, you're kind of riddled with choice and the American dream and 400 million people, and you're like, how do I stand out? I don't know. That's why people get crazy and dress weird, right? But in Canada, you can absolutely get to the top of your scene.
Right.
And if you can't get to the top of your scene within Canada, I don't care whether you're making money at it or not. If you can't be in the top of the scene, you weren't going to be in the top of the scene in the States.
Right.
So really get to it here.
Right.
And then I swear you can make that jump. You
Right.
really can. We're too close to the border. Too
Interesting.
close.
That's. I mean, the counter argument is like not to bring it back to music, but something like a band like the Tragically Hip.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't crack the States
Yeah.
to save their life, but they were the biggest band in Canada.
Music is a tricky one.
Right?
like
It's
that, for
harder
sure.
there, right? Which is
yeah.
again where I know it from, but I totally
Yeah.
think that what you're saying could work.
Yeah, but also they also weren't like, man, we can't make any money in Canada.
No, they were doing great. They were doing
fine.
great in Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I do know what you're saying.
Right.
But I often like because I can't speak to music, I just don't know it. But I know comedy and I know magic.
Right.
And that's kind of the 2 worlds I come at it from. Music is so far ahead of comedy, and comedy's so far ahead of magic as far as how many people are interested in it.
Right.
And so like I think after a certain threshold, yeah, I mean you have to be so good at music just to be bad at it these days.
That's it. Yeah. 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the greatest, guitar player 50 years ago, You know, like if you're like a top 10 guy back then, right? There's a lot of people that play that level now.
Big time.
And it's kind of wild.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You're like, man, if you look at someone now, you're like, dude, if you were only around in the 60s, you would be the best.
Oh, man, it's crazy. That's you. Well, we get that all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, you're right there. It's too bad this wasn't 73. It'd be great.
Exactly.
But like, it ain't. Right.
So it ain't, yeah.
So the only way to do it in our world is you have to reinvent what it's about. 'Cause it used to be about flash and having like the right vibe and all that stuff. And now it's like, now it's 100% about the song. If your song is good enough to get you noticed, then now you can do it. You can crack it, right? And then you have to be good live and all that stuff too. But the song is the differential, right? Whereas back then you didn't have to have a million hits to be great.
Yeah.
Now you do. So that's part of the issue, which is why they look at the market share and they go, well, Canada, we don't chart in Canada. It's not a big deal.
Yes.
But I love the idea of being the top of that country and then going, well, look, we're the top.
Yeah, just trying to leverage that against something else
Yeah,
is
I love that.
Seems to be the way. At least it's the way it's been working for me so far. But yeah, and also like not being afraid to be like, oh, like what's working right now? Oh, Facebook ads. People are selling tickets with Facebook ads. Okay, spend the next 80 hours spend like literally a full-time job for the next 2 weeks for you is learn how to do Facebook ads.
Right.
Sorry, that's the gig.
Yeah, right.
We all wish you could just play your guitar and
That's
sing
right.
your songs.
That's right.
You can't.
Yeah.
I get up every morning at 7. From 7 to noon is literally me tweaking ads and editing stupid promo videos and whatever because I got to sell tickets. I swear the last thing I get to think about is the show.
Right.
And that sucks because that's the thing I care about the most.
That's right.
But you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
It's either
That's a
that or
good
I just stay home.
That's a good bite, eh?
That's
a
fantastic.
perfect. That's exactly
That's-
what it is, right?
It's so true.
But that's so hard to do as a creative. Like that mindset. Congratulations on being able to separate that. Because I know a million artists that can't.
Yeah, I don't know what I think. Honestly, for me, the best thing ever was quitting my job because the desperation is what fuels me.
That's so great. Yes.
Like, I'm so scared of all time. My wife is like not the breadwinner either. So she's like, we're banking on your career. And I'm like, yeah, let's go. Right. Car broke down yesterday. I'm like, all right, this is going to fuel me.
Yeah.
Right. I think I posted 8 times on Facebook today. Right. Car broke down. Come on, $2,000. Let's go, baby. That's fucking what I do. And it works. The amount of times I've leaned on stuff and like when the pandemic happened, my wife's a flight attendant.
Oh, is
She's
that
not
right?
working.
Flight
I do
attendant.
live shows. I'm not working.
Right.
Now we're just 2 people staring at each other. Right. And like a lot of people are like, I had to work from home. I'm like, must be nice.
Yeah, right.
Must be nice. Your paycheck stayed the same? Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, hey, Kristen, I know you've never been in a video with me before, but guess what? You have 2 options. It's a 1-bedroom apartment. You sit in the bedroom or you make content. Because this is the only revenue stream and it pays about $100 a month right now. So let's go. So she jumps in with me doing sketches. First sketch we do, $10,000. Bam.
No way.
I'm like, let's go.
No way.
And then we just made a ton of sketches. And that never would have happened unless her and I were like, you know, you're literally fucked.
Yeah, right.
Right. So, and my whole career has been nonstop versions of that. When I quit that job, I had 2 years of literally, boys, I can't believe it's taken this long to tell you guys this. Okay. I quit the job, right? I didn't mean to quit the job. Okay.
You didn't mean to quit the job.
I go into the office. I used to fill potholes in the road in Vancouver, right? Fill potholes, pick up garbage, hate my life, right? Just fat, drunk, hate everything, right? And my boss brings me in. He's like, hey, Wes, we're going to give you a promotion. And I was like, instantly had 40 years flash before my eyes because they know how much to pay you to make you stay, right? Just enough. So I was like, oh God. So I just like, no, I quit. And he's like, I don't think you know what promotion means. And then I just walk out of the room and he's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to be a magician. And then I got in my car. I'll never forget. I get in my car. I shut the door. I open the door. I throw up. I shut the door and I drive. And I call my dad on the drive home. And my dad's like, aren't you at work? I was like, I quit. He's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to be a magician. And then I guess we got cut off or something because you hung up. And and then he never said anything negative to me about it. To my face. My brother said behind my back all the time, apparently. But so he was very supportive about it. But immediately I'm like, okay, I can never ask my dad for money.
Right.
Right. And I can't move back home.
Right.
Like I have to do this self-sufficiently or else it's not fair.
Right.
Or else I should just get a job and not rely on other people. So knowing you have all your own bills and you've just made this insane decision when you've been offered more money and a better gig. and I was just like, this is silly. So I booked my first ever 400 seat theater in Vancouver. I know I could sell some $20 tickets. That'll get me, that's 6 months out. That'll get me probably another few months worth of money. I don't need much. Blah, blah, blah. Had this plan. I do that. That goes well. Okay, I got some video. I'm trying to put together a promo. I don't know who to call. Don't know what to do. I feel like a carpet salesman. I'm just calling places like, hey, this school in we were ever near Calgary. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in your area if you need a magic show for $100. It was bad. But before I figured out to just call people and cold call, I was just running out of money and had no idea what to do. I started having these nosebleeds. I was getting nosebleeds that would last like so long. Okay, just leaking. I'm going cross-eyed, and it's staying cross-eyed for hours.
What?
I'm talking 5-6 hours going cross-eyed. So yeah, so I'm going to the doctors and stuff, and they're testing, nothing's wrong with you, neurologist or whatever. I go 3 different doctors, and one doctor goes hey man, are you stressed? And I was because now we know stress so obvious, right? Back then it took the 4th doctor to be this might be, I'm well, I just quit my job. I'm running out of money. I'm trying to be a magician or whatever, spill everything in that thing. And he's oh, this is stress.
Wow.
Get it under control, dude. And first and only time in my life, fucking impotent.
No.
It's insane. All the markers of stress,
Really?
which are so obvious now, but back then couldn't.
Right.
So I was this is insane. So then I'm my dad's a salesman. My brother's a salesman. My grandfather's a salesman. I'm I'm just going to do what they do. And I just start cold calling. And once I did cold calling, even though it wasn't working right away, instantly I feel I'm doing something. It's active.
Exactly.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
Hard, dry, straight.
That's the name of the episode. Hard, dry, and straight. That's perfect.
So yeah, then and the cold calling works. If you call 7 a.m, start at the East Coast and work your way back, by noon you have 2 gigs.
That's wild.
You do, and you just email cold call. Hey, I just sent you an email. Oh, okay. Well, we don't. I'm just watch the video right now. I'll stay on the line.
And the key is you didn't make any excuses. You didn't go, well, I can't do it because have all these symptoms.
Yeah.
I just say I have to
figure it out.
That's
Desperation,
great.
man.
That's great though, because that's what we're trying to push here.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're all guilty of. I've let that stop me before, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I've let those things go. Okay, well, I can't do it today because I don't feel like I should.
Yeah,
because I'm too stressed.
Yeah.
And then you kind of think well, in that scenario, the way you got out of it was by doing that. You felt better. That's cool. I think that's a really good lesson.
Man. Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good. Yeah, that's why I'm glad. That should be the takeaway.
Yeah, it's great.
But yeah, it's always surprising me how many people will some of the things I've done in my career. There's always, everyone has ups and downs and all the near misses. There's 2 times I was supposed to be in a Mr. Beast video and I wasn't.
Oh, really?
I had 2 other pilots that didn't go but should have, right? You're almost on this thing, you almost won that thing. There's always these little things that slide through your hand.
Right.
And there's more than people even realize. Your thumbnail and your title was one word away from being a viral hit. Instead it got 11 views, right? So there's all of these things that are in our lives, and people want to just sort of be oh man, I'm gonna give up. I'm don't give up. You have no idea how freaking close you were.
Yeah, right.
If only you were if only you could see, I don't know, Adjustment Bureau or whatever, read the map and see the guys with the top hats running around behind you. You're probably literally just ducking and dodging apps. You're gonna accidentally run into success.
Right.
If you're at all good enough, you just have to try long enough.
Right.
Right. If you're okay, I know for a fact I'm not delusional. I'm good enough. I'm not the best. If you're the best, it'll happen, right? And if you're really bad and lucky, well, that can happen too. That's good for you. Whatever. Most of us live in this middle ground. Now, if you're in the middle ground, a lot of them go I just need some luck. It's or just wait, right? Just as long as you're in this pocket, you'll be good, man. You're eventually it'll happen. There's only so many outcomes here.
Totally.
So I think that's why you always hear about people breaking late, and whether it's acting, music, comedy, whatever, it can happen for you whenever if you're really interested in it.
Totally.
I think.
I think if it's passionate fuels you.
Yeah. And that's again why we bring back to you better be doing it for you to some degree.
You have to love it.
If I was out there just if I had 70 doves and 2 rabbits at home and I'm trying to do this kind of shit, right? And here's a flower, there's a flower, I hate myself so much. There's no way I could withstand these 4-year, slumps or 5-year slumps where nothing's really popping.
Right.
And I'm just every night feeding my fucking doves, right? It's so sad.
You do
There's
have
so
to
many
keep them
magicians
alive.
here that are so mad at me right now. I got 11 doves.
They're feeding their doves and going, this bastard.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat this guy in 1 more week if I don't get a gig.
Tough crowd.
So Yeah, the thing about doing what you want to do is you almost don't care after a while. If you go, and there's been times where I've taken side gigs and stuff just like for cash, whatever, because you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
And then now I just make content. Like even if I post a video and it gets me $1, I'm like, nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, right.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm like, I only got to post 1,000 more videos this month. That's it. We're almost there.
Yeah.
We're almost home.
That's a great way to look at it, man. I do like that because, like, I mean, we have this argument all the time where I'm scared to post a lot of the time because I always feel like I didn't do a good job on the thing, so I'm like, I'm not gonna post it.
Dude,
And when he posts everything all
he
the time,
thinks too hard. He thinks he cares a lot about what other people
yeah,
think.
I do. I care a
Yeah.
lot about
And
it.
I don't. I don't. I just send it.
He just
you know?
goes.
yes.
But
That's
I'm
it.
always like, no, not yet.
You know,
You know?
there's I've really only had 2 experiences online, and the one thing that happens is everyone will watch the thing and it goes viral, or nobody sees it.
Yeah, right.
Either outcome is great.
Totally.
Because if it's a shit video, like my 33 million view video that I hate, it went viral. It's paid me $50,000 and got me on 4 TV shows.
Yeah.
Right? Hard to be mad at it.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the other video that I also hate got like 1,000 views and no one's once ever mentioned it to me.
Right.
What are you afraid of?
Yeah,
There's
totally.
no middle ground. There's no version of this where everyone sees it and goes, that sucks.
Yeah, totally.
No one saw it.
No, it's less that. For me, what it is, you know what it is? It's not even the,
I
it
didn't mean
sucks.
to point at you, but I
No, that's fine.
felt it.
That was only 2 of us. What it is it's not oh it sucks. It's the fear. It's more like, hey, if I put a little bit more into it, it could do what you just said.
Absolutely.
It's less about like, I'm worried that people are gonna hate it because yeah, you're right. It's 2 views, no one gives a shit. But if it's like, hey, look, I could have spent another hour on this and it could have actually done the thing that we wanted it to. That's when I go, so
You perfection. You
Yeah,
want, which
perfection
is
to
again
the point where
which
you're
is
bad.
That is that old. What's that saying? Is like that perfection is like the curse
it is, yeah.
because you just
100%.
never finish.
yeah. It's something about it's there's a phrase for
What is
that.
I
Something like
forget,
that.
yeah,
I forget
well,
what it is. But
the,
we know what it is.
Here's a weird take that I have, and I've done this several times, and I don't know many people that have tried this. I have like an old bit, right? It's an old trick, old jokes, whatever, and it goes out there. It's a 5-minute thing, and it kills, and it does well on the internet. Great. Years later, I'm like, I wasn't really done with that, so I just put it out again.
Right.
The trick's a little bit tweaked now. The jokes are different. The structure's different. And I get like the first 10 comments are like, yeah, seen this before, asshole. Right? And that's it. And then they melt away. And there's a million, because if 10 million people see something, that's still 0 people.
Right.
Think of how many people there are.
Totally.
So you could put out that crap idea.
Yeah.
And then it's just, if it flops, it flops. You can re-put out that idea.
Right.
And you're only going to hear a little bit of hate from the hardcore fans that are do or die anyways, or the hardcore haters that are do or die anyways. So I think maybe we're at a time in the world with this meme culture and the way that Gen Z looks at the world too, and Alpha, they don't really care if they all just repeat the same crap.
Yeah.
Right. So like maybe if you're just openly tweaking it, maybe it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
maybe you
true.
can offer the same thing twice.
Yeah.
Maybe you like look at all the Hollywoods. There's nothing but reboots.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
it.
That's right.
So maybe you're like, oh hey, I put this out 5 years ago. Here's the newest, better. I worked on it.
Right.
Right, and let's see who likes it.
Totally.
Oh shit! I think maybe it's all right.
I do
That's it.
that every day where, I think what are the apps show me, hey, you posted this a year ago. And if it's a video that did well, I'm like, oh, I'm going to post it again.
Yeah, do it again.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. And it does better.
It does better,
And I
yeah.
get more fans. I
That's
get more
right.
followers. Like, it's insane.
That's right.
And people are like, "You're looking young, Joe."
Yeah, right.
You're like,
that is. Eventually, we're gonna have to do some color correction,
dude, for sure.
or something. Yeah, because I'm not gonna hold it up this long.
It's the unspoken time of the sands of time. That's what that is. They go backwards sometimes.
Yes.
That's wild. I do think that's a good takeaway. Like everything you kind of said about like the way you present content, that is the lesson that we're hoping to pull from this. I think this is
hope
right
so.
in there. Oh yeah. No, that's amazing.
Yeah, I try. I don't know. I try and throw everything out there. I've tried podcasts for 3 years. I wrote a book a few years ago that took me like 3 years to do. I just try and do every possible angle that interests me. And most of what I end up doing doesn't work out.
Right.
But I just do so much all the time forever because I'm gonna be poor if I don't.
Yeah.
Like,
Is it that? And is it like you just love every piece of it, or like do you love are you very passionate about the things you're doing, or what's driving? Yeah.
Yeah, see, I definitely don't do stuff that I don't love to do. So like there are certain things that I've never started a TikTok page in any significant way because I just don't. It's not. I'm trying to learn to love it.
Yeah.
But I won't just go somewhere because it's popular. Like I have to get in there and like be a fan of it first.
Yeah.
Whenever people are like, how do you go to YouTube and stuff? I'm like, well, first be a fan of YouTube. Do you watch YouTube? They go, no. I'm like, well, start there.
Yeah.
If you're not a fan of it, you won't know how to do it.
That's so true.
And that's why anything I post on TikTok's flopped because I'm not a consumer of it.
Yeah.
So you're missing the little nuance of it, right?
So great.
That's a great tag. I like that because that is what it is. Like especially in an art form.
Sure.
Even if you're specializing in a genre or a specific type of comedy or whatever you're talking about, if you don't know that really well, it's really hard to do it to that degree. Like especially in like specialized genres of rock, for example, or something. It's like if you don't live and breathe that world, your instincts are wrong.
But you get those people that are like, be like, oh, I'm just gonna. I'll do one for the money. And I'll just make like a pop song or something or whatever. And you're like, bro, you don't like pop songs.
Yeah.
This is gonna suck.
Exactly.
Well, no, it sucked. I'm a mind reader.
But it's the instincts though. Like if even take it for your comedy thing. Like if you didn't like the prop comedy.
Yeah.
But you're like, I think I could do well at it. Right. Your instincts aren't going to do the things it should be there. That's I think the most important takeaway for anything in art is you have to have the instincts to do it right. Otherwise, you're just flopping around. And what is it, right?
Absolutely, I think that's true.
And I think that's kind of what we try to avoid when I'm posting. I feel like that's what I'm doing.
You're like you don't know what you're not consuming it
in the same degree,
not understanding the nuance, as you said, and how to position it to be successful on that app or on that content. So,
but even what we're talking about, the content, like you guys are talking about creating something that makes people smile.
Yeah.
Most of the time, my content, like not music wise or band wise, but like if I'm making content, it's usually a gear video or product video, something showcasing something that's like techie. Right.
Yeah.
So it's more about like, look at these cool features. Look how much fun this is to use. Right.
Yeah.
So it's less about like repeating or those don't really go viral anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's not like something
but
that people
they can
would do.
if you play the game.
I'm sure they. I'm sure they.
If you do it in a certain way. But I think that's such a interesting take that I hadn't heard about. Is like because I can tell people all the time, like, oh, you just got to post. Just post a video.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do it because they don't understand it and they're not consuming it. They don't know how to.
Yeah.
So that might be the beginning of how you should start telling about it. You just watch Instagram for a long time. Watch and understand it first.
Well, my buddy Chris Ramsey is the one who taught me that. He is a puzzle solving channel. He's also did the TV show with me, but his puzzle channel was like 8 million subs on YouTube. And he was, everyone that would ever ask him, he's like, well, you have to, how much YouTube are you watching? Right? Like you watch it when you watch on TV, what is it? No, Netflix, what? Then you're doing it wrong. He's like, you can never, he's like, I can't teach you, like I could spend months teaching you just what you would learn by enjoying it. Yeah, right? And then he's like, you get to the baseline first. Like, what are you even talking about? So he was wanting to really open my eyes to that. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. And then it's easy from there, obviously. And he's just recently hung up that channel. He's just stopped posting on it. And he started a new channel because he's like, I'm burnt out by it.
Really?
Do what you love. And his new channel is already climbing like 150,000 subs.
No
and he's
way.
like, he's just doing like alien UFO podcast now and there. And he's all like, just pivoting because he found himself, I don't really like watching this anymore. I really like watching this. I'm going to go down that rabbit hole. Man, it's crazy if you don't overthink it.
Yeah.
And just do what you're enjoying. Buddy, it makes it so much easier because you don't mind making 300 videos if you're interested in it.
Totally. Well, that's why we're doing this podcast. This is fun.
Totally.
Like even talking to people that have a different mindset.
Yeah.
It's so cool to see
sure.
how someone else has done it. And I'm enjoying this, This is great.
Oh, good. You've learned something.
Yeah. Finally. I love it. I love it. I'm probably not going to do anything different, but
I think what you're going to do is you're the best Southern rock band in Canada.
That's right. Yeah. We do post that, but that's
good.
But that's because there's only like 2 of us.
Yeah.
Right. So we're either the best or second best. One of them.
Love it.
Yeah, man, that's great.
What's your big goal now?
I have to get a Netflix special, right? Because that's the next thing that needs to happen.
That's like a stand-up special.
Yeah.
Okay.
Comedy Magic has never had a stand-up special. There were some older ones back in the day, but nothing like Netflix has bought 5,000 stand-up specials. They've never bought one of a magician.
Right.
Same format, theater, camera, 1 hour, do your thing.
Right.
This is how most touring magicians are performing, yet there's 0 of them. and I think people are gonna like it, just judging by the audiences that I see that are blown away by what I'm up to. And I'm like, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got Justin Willman, you got Ben Simon, Erica Clare, Derek Hughes. There's guys out there touring, doing this stuff. I'm like, let's go. I'm like, Netflix needs to buy one, and they did. They bought one from Justin Willman. He filmed it in November. I went and I watched. It's great. He's the best. I'm so glad he's going first. What a litmus test they're gonna get once this hits. They're gonna be like, wow. The entire audience will be like, all the stand-up audience they're gonna steal over and be like, what, magic can be like this? Oh, we thought magic was just some guy in the street looking creepy. It's not. It's a charming, funny, hilarious, amazing, awesome, good time in a theater.
It is, yeah.
They're gonna be like, oh, and Netflix is gonna turn around and go like, we need 20 more. Right? So I'm gonna be there outside the Netflix office with my shirt off, like whipping cream on my chest, right? Give me a special, right? Like, it's gonna be amazing. So that's where I'm gonna get a Netflix special. My goal is for sure, like, get it one greenlit this year. I don't know when it's gonna be filmed, but this is all what I'm definitely visualizing is gonna happen and manifest that for sure. Other than that, I'm just gonna keep making content and keep doing my tours, because that's definitely paying the bills, and I keep getting better at content. Last year on Facebook, I think I had like 25 million views on Facebook or something last year. Wow. This year alone on Facebook, I have 40 million.
What?
In the first 3 weeks.
What?
That's crazy.
Yeah,
What?
I'm going hard
Just
this
this far,
year.
wow.
Yeah.
What is this? Okay, what's the secret?
The secret is I got really scared because I didn't save enough for my taxes that are going to come up in April. Dead serious.
You're just motivated by the fear of having
Feeling failure and having to tell my wife we're broke.
Yeah. That's a great way to do it. That's it. That's exactly it.
That's crazy. I mean, that's amazing. Congratulations. That's
Yeah, and if
sick.
things get real bad, then we'll have a kid. So then I get really scared again,
If things start to go too well, we'll just throw something to make it a little
then I'll
scary.
have to be scarier. Yeah, for sure.
Oh my
I think you
God.
might have answered I only had one other question that we didn't cover. I think you answered this already with the initial YouTube video, but I was wondering, what was that pivotal moment in the career so far where you kind of said, okay, I'm doing this for real now? But it was probably that video, I guess. Right?
Yeah, I think the video was like kind of proof of concept a little bit that I knew how to make a viral video before that really even made sense to people. I was like, oh, cool. I'm not an idiot.
Right.
Like I knew it was going to get views before I posted it. What a weird thing to know.
Right.
So I was like, oh, I'm not dumb about this. There's a niche here that I've latched onto, but I still didn't think anything of it until I'm like on TV in the States, because like that's all I knew was what success meant.
Right.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, oh, and then I'm like on America's Got Talent. I'm on Penn Teller, and then when I fooled Penn Teller in their show, all of those moments, I'm like, oh, this is it now. Like, this is really like now I couldn't stop this if I wanted to.
Right.
Now there's no brakes on this one now.
That's where it is. It's the when you couldn't stop if you wanted to.
Yeah.
That's you've made it.
Like if I pulled everything out now and said, I'm done, not going to do this, I'm just going to get a regular job, I would never there would never be 1 year where I didn't get a call request for a gig.
Right.
Forever.
Which is amazing.
So I'm like, and just might just be one. It would get less and less each year, I know, but it would, to the day I die, I'd be getting an email.
Something will happen.
Right.
Yeah.
About like, hey, can you come do this my kid's birthday party or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Whatever the hell people want.
But then that means you made a difference and an impact on the world somehow.
Yeah,
Someone somewhere.
My favorite thing now is I get these guys that are 22 years old and being like, dude, I saw your first thing. I was 12. I saw this thing you posted on the internet. I was like, oh, it made me realize that magic could be so funny, and I didn't realize that. And I'm totally inspired the way they do magic, and it blows my mind. I forget that, of course. I mean, yeah, that's what happens, right? And then people come up. So I'm like really excited for this younger generation of magicians and comedians and stuff. That I'm like, well, of course I would have had influence because I've met my heroes.
Yeah, right.
I hate that sounds so arrogant to me, but yeah, clearly, you see something, you watch it all the time,
yeah,
and then you go, wow, that's cool.
Who are your heroes in this?
Like comedians, Tom Segura and people I haven't met, like Jim Carrey, Penn and Teller were always my idols. David Copperfield, because of that's just an iconic magician,
right?
Blaine. But yeah, just a million different comedians. Even Justin Willman, who I'm friends with now. Right. He was one of the only other guys when I look on the internet. He's maybe 7 years older than me. So I'm 22 trying to figure out comedy magic, and he would have been about 28, and he'd already been on like Rachel Ray, and he had hosted Cupcake
see.
Wars and stuff.
Yes.
And I'm like, and he had a couple clips online. I'm like, God, this guy's doing it like I like it.
Yes.
Oh hell yeah! So like those kinds of things, and then I'm like, oh, so I'm maybe that level to somebody else, right? Where it's just like, oh wow, what's this guy
That's
doing?
a full circle moment.
Yeah, I
right?
feel
That's
like
cool,
maybe.
man.
So it makes me happy, and I'm really excited to see the future of magic, especially comedy magic. I really think it's about to hit a real uprise, a real I don't know. I think I can even feel in my shows now. I've moved a needle. Like my shows, instead of trying to sell out on the week of or the day of, they're selling out some of them months in advance.
Right.
Right. Like, and I'm like, this is a new thing. I'm like, something shifted here.
That's
so
great.
I'm feeling it right now. This is gonna be a fun year.
That's great, man.
awesome.
By the time you guys see this, I'm not even gonna talk to these guys anymore.
By the time this comes out, it'll be 26.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if I ever have time to edit, that's the problem. Do a trick.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else with you? or
I
no?
just got some cards, and so I can do card tricks.
Let's- yeah, just as a separate.
I'm very gullible.
Yeah,
Okay,
but you also hate it or love it because you're gonna.
I love it because I can already tell he's not gonna piss
Because
me off.
this is the beauty. This is why I love because like
Oh, yeah.
he's on your side.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the one thing I saw where you started the show and you said, okay, y'all here in the front are gonna have a great show. You're less good and you're gonna learn some stuff. And I'm like, that's funny because I would be like, I'm on the side. I'm like, I can see all this.
Yeah.
It's totally disarming.
Well, people come up to me at the end of the show. The people that sit on the side, they're like, "I actually didn't even learn anything." And like, you did really good. I didn't even notice. I was watching for you, and I'm like, "Oh, thanks." I'm like,
But what you do is you break the barrier because you don't say you don't make it be like, okay, well, you're stupid if you don't see this. That's how he makes you feel.
Yeah.
You're dumb if you don't
I'm
get
not
it.
a very good magician. Okay. All right.
I have this. I think you might have seen this one, but it's a sleight of hand one. I can show you. This is fun. It's let me know if you can see the sleight of hand because it's kind of a new thing, right?
Okay.
It's like you can do it with the coin, but I do it with the bottle cap. See if you see the sleight of hand. Let me know. Sometimes it happens fast. Sometimes it's slow. See if you see the sleight of hand.
Whoa.
Did you see it? Okay, well, I gotta practice that then. Shoot. This is stupid. My wife's like, why do you have so many doll hands? Like, they're for work.
That was pretty funny.
There you go.
Some of my favorite dumb ones to do. Okay, this is a normal deck of cards. People always ask me that.
Yeah.
I'd let you shuffle it, but I don't want to. Okay, so you're gonna choose a card. Get around this mic here. Pick a card, any card. Doesn't matter. Just grab one, grab one,
Okay,
grab one.
this one right
Got
here.
it. Remember it.
Oh, I gotta look at it. Okay.
Yeah, if you don't remember.
Do I get to
Okay.
see it? Okay,
Sure.
great.
Is it a red card or a black card?
It's red.
I love the honesty. Okay, now.
You're screwed. So screwed.
Why, most people jerk. See,
No,
he's
no.
already doing
Okay,
it. See, this is exactly it.
I'm sorry.
It's not the Jack of Hearts, right?
No.
Okay, so we take the Jack of Hearts.
Yeah.
We get the weight right sometimes, and then you spin it. Yeah, then you can get the right card.
Wow, that's
It's
good.
pretty good, right?
Yeah, that's
it's
good.
fun because there's almost no options there. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it happens
Okay.
fast, right? So, how good your memory?
Well, in what context?
Hopefully it's terrible. Is all I'm asking.
Oh, it's pretty bad.
okay,
yeah.
good. 'Cause I'm gonna try and get you to remember the Queen of Hearts and Queen of Diamonds.
Okay.
If I can find them here. I don't normally do this one sitting down, but I'll try.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here we go. See if I can. Okay,
There you go.
You're gonna remember the Queen of Hearts.
Okay.
You're gonna hang on to it like this.
Okay.
Now, what card did I give you?
Queen of Hearts.
Have a look. Make sure.
Okay.
You can trust me.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
Okay, a little bit looser. Yeah. Okay. So, Queen of Diamonds, Queen of
Okay.
Hearts. I take the Queen of Diamonds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna switch you. So now I have the hearts. I pretend again. I still have the hearts. I pretend one more time. You have the hearts. I have the diamonds. Which one's on top? Which one's on the bottom? That's the big question.
This is the diamonds here.
Oh, I don't know.
Wow.
How about that one?
Crazy. That's wild.
You
Yeah.
dumbass! I'm smarter than you.
That's it.
Stupid.
Exactly. That's great. That's good. That's good, man. See, that's crazy.
It's kinda-
Because you don't feel it, when it moves.
Exactly. Now, are you married?
No.
No,
Almost.
Okay, I was gonna
What's
say,
the halfway point?
That was my steal your girl trick. But it don't work. Oh, okay, right on. Yeah, that's all I plan on doing.
That's it.
That's good, man. I like that.
Appreciate it.
That's good. See, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. That's crazy.
The only thing I can do is this. Nope. Can't do it. Fuck. Wait. I was cramped up. There it is.
That's good.
I will say I saw your show a few weeks ago when you're in my area.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was great.
man.
Like I've seen a ton of magic shows because I'm such a huge fan of magic. I've done magic as a kid. And like yours is very unique and it threw me for loops in like the best way which is what you want to do. People just keep surprising people. Even the things that I know of how these things do work, I was still blown away and amazed and laughing throughout the whole time. So
Thank Thanks.
Congrats, man. You're fucking doing it.
Appreciate
it. And I'm so happy you came here.
Yeah, me too. This is great.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hell yeah.
I learned a lot.
Thanks, guys. I love this. I love this kind of conversation. So appreciate
man.
you having me.
We didn't drop the ball. We did it.
We did it.
yeah. Were we recording? Was that on?
I don't know.
Is any of this on?
Oh, there it is.
Yes, we
Okay.
were.
Oh,
We did it.
perfect.